Hello, everyone. How's it going? Is this your first item on PAX East? Nice. That's what I like to hear.
It's all downhill from there.
So I'm Tina Amini. I'm the deputy editor at Kotaku. Welcome. Thank you for coming. We're excited to have you guys. Thank you. So I'm just going to do some introductions, explain what each of us does individually. I'll let them talk for themselves.
It's about time I got an explanation as to what I
Yeah,
do.
exactly. I'm not even really sure. I basically run the site when Steve and Totilo isn't. If you see some Facebook posts, I typically do that, do some editing, do some writing, do some interviewing, a little bit of everything, really. So that's me. Evan?
I'm a reporter at Kotaku. I've been here for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in October. I've been writing about video games for a long, long time. And I'm a reporter, which means I write reviews, I interview people, I cover breaking news, I give fashion tips.
He's very stylish.
You should. I feel like you should do a fashion. Wow, we just got a post idea already. Congratulations. My name is Jason. Hi, everybody. I am also a reporter for Kotaku, and I write about JRPGs a lot, which is really fun.
He runs the Random Encounters column you might see every Friday.
You might see it because it's random.
That's actually not going up today. I should probably...
You probably should have noted that.
Oops. So you missed out this time. But Steve?
I'm Steve Marinconz. I'm the new... Well, I'm not the new guy anymore.
You're not new, no.
Yeah.
I'm a video editor, so I play video games, but I don't review them. So I make videos about them, and then am not held responsible for my opinions.
Who's that?
Oh, I'm street passing right now. Don't mind me.
This is our special guest. He's actually not supposed to be here right now.
Yeah.
He's on vacation. Steven Totilo.
Hi, everyone.
So what's your big plan that you never
I have a plan for this
disclosed?
panel. So to give you a better sense of who we are, I guess, if you don't recognize us, I wanted to go around the table and have everyone share what their favorite piece they've written for the site was or recorded for the site. So I guess mine, I'll start. One of my favorite pieces was actually a reported piece, which I typically leave to the reporters. But I did a big piece after E3 about some of the harassment some women experienced, so you might have read that. Pretty proud of that one, and I wrote a really personal piece about scoliosis that I had, and I had spinal surgery, and I threw myself into Final Fantasy X, and it's a sort of recovery mechanism, next to all the painkillers. So it was like another source of painkiller for me. So those are my two favorite ones.
Wow, you did two. Now I feel like I need to do two.
No, you can have one big one. I'm just indecisive. I can't choose.
Fair enough. So I guess my favorite piece that I've written at Kotaku so far, well, there's maybe two, maybe three. Maybe we'll be here all day. There was one that I wrote about black people in video games. Come on, video games, let's see some black people I'm not embarrassed by, was a full title. Back when we could do headlines that were more than 70 characters. I miss those days.
Those were the days.
I like that, which the title's kind of self-explanatory. And I've written a lot about racial representation, mostly as it pertains to black people in video games since I've gotten to Kotaku. I've written about it almost everywhere I've written, but Kotaku has a big audience, and I'm very happy to be doing that. And then I wrote another piece in the same vein, but a lot more personal, about Assassin's Creed Freedom Cry, the DLC that came out for Assassin's Creed 4. Since it was set in Haiti, my parents are from Haiti. I identify as a Haitian American. And did I hear some applause back there? Haitians? Haitians? All right, fine.
You can represent for the table.
That's fine. Yeah, but that talked about how, coming from a small, poor island country, I never thought I'd see represented in video games whatsoever, how it kind of affected me deeply. So those are two things that I'm proud of. Jason.
My favorite Kotaku piece is all of your contributions, all of you fine Kotaku
Oh,
readers who
whatever.
contribute to. How many of you guys are? How many of you guys
Jason's
are?
in charge of the
How many
pandering
of you guys
department.
are regular?
This is
Kotaku
what happens when we tell
commenters?
Jason to be nice. It's so fake.
They told me don't be a dick. So.
That's actually what we told them.
How many of you guys are regular Kotaku commenters? Okay, a couple of you. Maybe we can get
Raise
some.
your hand all the way up so we can see it. Don't be shy.
Be proud.
Good.
7.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm glad. Maybe we can get more of you commenting by the end. That's our goal here, really, to get you all commenting. That's what Nick Dendon wants us to do.
Yes, engagement. We're all about
To
that.
be serious for a second, I really enjoyed going to Nintendo's Treehouse. I don't know if any of you guys remember a story we did about Nintendo and their kind of hidden secret weapon where they keep all the top secret things that they're working on and all the game localizations that they do, and we did a cool little profile about that. So that was really fun. And Steve is missing, so that's his favorite Kotaku post.
Tina didn't tell me the plan for this post, this panel.
I thought it'd be better if it was natural.
Yeah, except now I gotta like think of my favorite thing that I've done.
Well, you've
So
recorded
like
a
the
lot
first
of
thing
really
that came to
great
mind
indie
was
games.
I reviewed cookies. So that
Oh,
was
God. That
pretty
would be
fun.
what
Like
you
actual
choose.
cookies?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Like you reviewed
What do you mean?
cookies. Well, as opposed to
Do you
cookie
read the
clicker.
site?
No, I try not to read Kotaku. No, as opposed to cookie clicker, which is...
Don't
Yeah,
give them the
that's what
clicks.
that's my obsession. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that basically the only thing I do at my job is click on cookies every day.
It's true, you walk by
I
a desk
literally
and it's
have a
just full
separate part
screen.
of my computer for cookie clicker. But so yeah, I don't know. I reviewed cookies because we have Mike Fahey's Snacktaku, and I kind of jumped in there and did a guest Snacktaku piece. Or I plugged an Xbox One into another Xbox One. That was a lot of fun.
What was the result of that?
We did that little CRT, that video camera warping thing. It was a
And
lot of
started
fun.
making,
Yeah,
like,
if you
alien
didn't
noise?
see that was actually a very interesting thing, and it made a lot of weird sounds. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was
It was like
very
an alien
artistic.
spaceship thing. It was
Yeah.
very strange. Very cool.
Didn't you also you did a video about a game that was made by a computer? That was that was the best thing you've done. I
That was
think.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
Tell them about
liked
that.
Steven keeps track. He has an Excel file of all this stuff.
I like Goat Simulator.
Important.
Goat Simulator is fun.
Goat Simulator was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But that was
Steve
that was more
made
just my
Goat
favorite
Simulator,
thing.
the developer of
Yeah,
Goat
this is-
Simulator,
this
right
is
here.
That's my favorite thing that I've done is I made that game.
But
Bill,
tell
did you
them
know?
about the game made by the computer. Like, how did that work?
Yeah, that was just there's this guy named Michael Cook, I think. I always say
Whatever.
people's names
Yeah,
wrong, and then
something.
they call me names on Twitter. So he made this. He's a computer scientist, PhD, researcher, something like that. And he designed this thing that instead of generating levels or something, it generates an entire game. It uses Google image search, and it uses this thing called Metaphor Magnet, and you give it an idea, and it comes up with a game, and he changed it so that it made platformers, and it could just make levels and figure out mechanics, and it actually designed a gravity flipping mechanic like V, and on its own, it just discovered that, which is pretty cool and scary, and then he made a version that can make a 3D game, so it's a lot simpler, but it was this weird, creepy game, and it was really cool that a computer made it itself, so that's what that was, Stephen.
Oh, by the
assume I'm just summing up because you
Yeah,
didn't
it was
watch
cool.
the video.
I watch all of your videos, most of your videos. By the way, do we have Russ from New Jersey here? There. Okay, good. Wait, do you think that street passing works based on proximity? Because you're the first person I got out of the 10 people that I got. Well, we're gonna test this right now.
Steven's
Welcome
a
to the
little
live
obsessed
street
with
pass
He's playing
panel.
Conception 2.
This
just
is
the
what happens
demo,
when
though.
Steven's on vacation.
He wants his dream. Can I tell them what your dream is? Yeah. His dream for the future is to grow up to be big. That's so sweet. How about, my first Wyoming, Ben from Wyoming. Are you here? Okay, so maybe it extends further out like that. His motto is "Let's play." Sorry if that was private. I won't tell them your dream then. It was to get superpowers. Jericho? Do we have Jericho here? Okay, all right. So maybe it worked in a line, like it zapped out my street passing.
This is the Nintendo
will
Street
never
Pass reverse
understand
engineering.
Yeah,
panel.
I'm just here for this. I wasn't here for the panel. Oh, so the best. So I think. So I celebrate my 5-year anniversary of being a Kotaku in May. It's whatever. I don't know. There's a lot of like stupid trailers I've posted that are probably not my favorite posts. But I was gonna say that I think the story I'm proudest of now may get me subpoenaed by the FBI. So maybe it's not. I'm not kidding. If you go to the Smoking Gun website yesterday, you'll see this. But Super Day. Does anybody know who Super Day is? Hacker guy. No. Australia. Yes. He read it. Anyone else? No. Okay. So this
Thank
guy,
you, Russ.
This is a guy in Perth, Australia, who about a year ago managed to find out information about the PS4 and the Xbox One before anybody officially was talking about them, and we published that, and then we found out he was a hacker, and now 3 of his buddies just got arrested by the FBI like a couple days ago. But yeah, that was a pretty good story, so you should read that one. And yeah, I'll be arrested soon, I'm sure.
It's a good thing we have a really good legal team.
Yeah, they're used to that.
Steven, you reading out the Street Pass names feels a little bit like you're doxing people.
Well, do we have a C-Mac? C-Mac, he's a local. Okay, hi C-Mac. Nice to meet you.
We're just going to identify all of you by the end of this panel.
Wait, where are you,
Steven?
C-Mac?
He's a cat person. Kevin from Virginia?
I'm just comparing everyone's faces to
Hi,
their
Kevin.
Mii's. Where's Kevin?
A lot of people have system settings is what they're playing with. I appreciate that because I think I have that as my, what I have listed as my favorite 3DS application, isn't it? You made fun of me for that one. Yeah.
So show hands, how many people here have a 3DS?
Oh, everybody.
You have
Yeah.
a lot
Oh
of
my
street
God.
passes to go.
Yeah.
Lots of Street Passes.
All right,
This is why PAX is
comparison.
the best.
Who's got a Vita? Not bad, not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought mine on the ship. I didn't bring my 3DS. So there's
Vita
that.
can't Street Pass.
It can't, but it can play Final Fantasy X.
Right,
And I can relive all that.
Wow, she hit you where
that's
you
your favorite
live.
Yeah, man. All right, now.
By the way,
next
hello
gen,
to
so our current
Unet.
gen.
Unet. Hi, Unet, wherever you are. Your motto is
I feel like there's 2 panels going
a
on.
little
Yeah.
risque.
It's like the
I don't know-
Street Pass one on the corner
Is it?
and the.
I got to go
one
back
here.
through the PAX guide here to make sure if you can
you like me to
say.
explain it to you?
Can you say "Oh fuck PAX"
Yeah.
as your motto?
But like in an excited way.
Oh, say it.
No.
You say it.
Oh fuck, PAX.
Oh, okay. All right. Back to the regularly scheduled panel.
How many of you guys would watch just an hour-long panel of Steven reading Street Pass names? Right?
Oh,
Steven,
back to it.
Next year, PAX East.
Yeah,
We
gotta
can
get that.
assemble a small group in the back right now.
All right,
Dedicated
we'll
just
have
for
like
me.
measurements for how far I can go
Okay.
and everything. So what's next, Tina, on your
So I
big
was
plan?
going to ask, since we've been going through all the systems, who here has an Xbox One?
Okay.
Still free time, yeah. PS4?
Okay, now those
Well,
two
then
groups of
Mars.
people have to fight each other right now.
We brought some weapons. You have some shield choices.
Now the engineering portion of the panel has ended. This is the market research portion.
We're filing this away.
How many
we're
people?
gonna increase our PS4 posts now.
How many people are gonna wait a year to buy a next-gen system? A year from launch.
Smart.
How many people are gonna wait longer than that?
Yeah, do you see this bias here, by the way? They ask about Xbox One and PS4 and not Wii U. What about the Wii U, right? What is,
How many people have a Wii U?
I've seen
Yeah,
them
make
cash
them proud.
so many checks from Microsoft and Sony. You got to cash that Nintendo check.
That's really the real reason.
I think we actually have every Wii U owner in this room right now. Sorry, guys. I'm one of them. I love my Wii U.
So-
you bought yours first thing.
Yeah, I pre-ordered mine.
So has not being a dick working out?
Could not
So we've
help
been talking a lot about a transitional phase from what is now current gen versus last gen, which is always a weird thing to wrap your head around. It's no longer called next gen. And I actually just went from, I play my Xbox One a lot, and I just went from my Xbox One to my Xbox 360 again, because I've been playing a lot of Dark Souls 2. So anybody play Dark Souls 2? Fans? Yeah, I love it. P.S.
Chris Person, our video editor, is the in-house
Dark Souls 2 expert. He did our
Yeah.
review, yeah. Everybody waves to Chris.
If you're stuck, go talk to him.
I like that the camera is pointed this way, so all those waves are just not going to show up at all.
Yeah, unfortunately. So it's been interesting for me. I mean, like the Kinect has never been great, I guess, for like voice detection especially. But I've noticed how much worse the Xbox 360, the Kinect 1 is compared to the Kinect 2. And I think I have like a renewed appreciation for it. And I've been playing a lot of, or I've been watching a lot on like my HBO Go on 360 since it's on Xbox One. So it's been like a weird switching back into the past kind of experience for me. And I was curious what all of our game experiences are right now. I mean, obviously Steven's is iPhone and 3DS, which is accurate.
I'm going on a nostalgia trip right now of how Chris Person here is my sensei in Dark Souls 2, and he sent me all these wonderful texts.
We all text Chris Person when we're playing. I'm not joking. I think Kirk is planning on running your guys' texts, FYI. So.
Yeah. For example, I'll read you a text that I sent Chris. I'm so confused. This was about Dark Souls 2.
It's just that the entire time.
There's more to the text than that. I'm so confused. I've wandered around in Majula. Is that how you say it? Majula? Not Mahula? Majula? I don't know. Majula. All right, sure. I don't see the green sage. Is this not the seaside town you were referring to? I went into one building that led to a waterway in some major zone that was guarded by a huge armored guy. I backed off. So I am back in Majula, not sure where the forest is, or more importantly, this lady who will level me up. He went and he restarted the game for me to find out where I should go and sent me a screenshot, and then later on explained what it happens when you die in this game. You can unhollow by getting items called human effigies that are hard to come by, etc. and so forth. In other words, if you need Dark Souls 2 tips later, there's your man. Queue up over there. Sorry, what was the question?
How many of you guys would watch a panel of just Stephen Totilo reading his text messages to Kotaku staffers?
There's some interesting ones.
I totally would.
Yeah, no, I was going more for the console, mobile, whatever experience, but Dark Souls was good too.
I can actually answer the question.
Yeah, he's got an answer.
I'm still playing Infamous, which is different for me. Yeah, we can clap for Infamous. I liked it. Usually when I review a game, I'm done. I'll hold out for some, DLC if it interests me. But I've been playing it a lot. I played good in my initial playthrough. I'm still playing good. But the paper trail stuff they have set up, the episodic DLC, has really been interesting to me because it's like, it's a pretty effective hook. It's like, okay, when I get the email that there's a new chapter up, I'll go back into the game, then to the computer, and back to the game. So paper trail, if you don't know, is basically, it's a episodic DLC that they're releasing, and basically it sets you up with a bunch of mysteries to solve where you collect the evidence in the game, and then you examine it on a bunch of fake websites that they set up. And it's a bit of an ARG, and it's really interesting. And a lot of puzzles are really hard and a little bit tricky to figure out. So I've been playing that a lot. I've been playing mobile, threes. I'm a threes addict, like I think almost all our staff. Yeah.
Everyone at this table is, yeah.
Everyone go to the Indie Mega booth, and they have the threes robot at the Aztez booth. It's a little. There's an iPad, and then there's these two little motors, and they have tinfoil. The arms are made of tinfoil, and they're sitting on Post-it notes, and somehow it works perfectly.
And it's better at threes than I am, probably.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
And I've been playing a bunch of stuff on mobile, but long running stuff. I'm still playing Spell Tower, which is a great game by Zach Gage. So that's kind of what my mix of stuff has been of late.
So how much activity does your PS4 get outside of Infamous?
I still nibble at Assassin's Creed 4. I never finished the campaign, so I'll put that back in every so often. That's pretty much it.
And you were talking to me about this concept of what Evan calls forever games, which is what you consider, I guess, threes to become now. Yeah, so
it's been this weird phenomenon for me anyway, that's almost exclusively on mobile, of games where I just play them every day. It was a game called Drop 7 before threes, and Spell Tower is a forever game for me where I just know that
it's so easy to access. It's right in your pocket.
I'll be able to turn back to it every day, and the sense that you feel like you're getting better a little bit every day is something that not a lot of games deliver. I feel like, at least on a console. When you're playing a console game, you have to make an appointment. You have to carve out time. When I'm playing a mobile game like threes, I'm in line at the bank. I'm on the train. I'm maybe in the bathroom. Is wherever my phone goes with me.
Which is everywhere.
Yes, sure. Don't act like I'm the only one.
Yeah. What is this with this? Maybe you're in the bathroom. How many people have played a game while on the toilet? Come on. Everybody, right? Yeah. Right. Wait, somebody's played the Wii U on the toilet? Excellent.
Nice. I've done that.
Power users. That's what we call you.
In case anyone couldn't see it, anyone who didn't put their hand up had their hand like this.
Now that I actually know what the question is, I have a real answer. Tina, can I give it?
Oh, yeah, please.
Okay. So I've been on vacation, so I needed to finish games. So I foolishly tried to play Cookie Clicker, and not that it's hard, but yeah, I played way too much of that, and then has anybody played that game? Yeah, avoid at all costs. Very dangerous. I finished Far Cry 3 finally. No applause for Far Cry 3. Yeah.
It's an old game.
Super Mario 3D World, finish that. Okay, all right. No, finish is the credits roll. That's finished. Like everything else, whatever.
Too many games to play.
Last of Us Left Behind DLC. Very good. You should all play that.
Did you read the comic first?
No, that's still sitting in my pile of stuff
same here.
on my desk, I think. Lego Marvel and Lego Hobbit both yesterday because I have a weakness for Lego games.
You're going to write the review, right?
No. I think there was more stuff. I'm sorry. I didn't have a joke, though. That's it.
So browser games and Wii U and PlayStation, everything.
Everything, I think.
Everything.
Yeah, PC.
There we go.
Should I play Metal Gear Ground Zeroes? Yes or no? Show of hands, yes to Ground Zeroes. Show of hands, no. No? Oh.
A lot of people in the back say
Okay.
yes.
All right.
That's pretty evenly matched, I think.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Well, there's many painful things that are 2 hours. Okay, I'm done.
So you got an answer?
It's funny that everybody's talking about PS4 games and I'm like playing. I just spent 40 something hours playing a PS2 game on my PS3, and that is Final Fantasy X. I'm sure there are some fans
That's
here.
Tina's favorite game.
Tina's favorite, one
Yeah.
of Tina's favorites, that's for sure. Final Fantasy X, it's a cool game to revisit because it does a lot of things really well, and then there's voice acting. And the voice acting in Final Fantasy X should not be spoken of out loud. It's like the type of game that you can't play with other people in the room because if they see it and watch it, they're just like, wow, this is what video games do, and it's just really embarrassing. And they vow to stop playing video games forever, and it's just a whole thing. But it's a really cool game. It does a lot of really cool things. The combat is really interesting, and the world is it has all these weird themes.
Also
Surrounding
Blitzball.
death. Blitzball kind of sucks.
Can you
but
play it in Japanese? And does that make it better? Like if you don't
I don't
understand
think
the
there's
language?
an option to play it in Japanese unless you get a copy of the Japanese version.
Oh.
But I bet the voice acting. I don't know. It's for English speakers who don't speak Japanese. You can't really tell if the Japanese voice acting is good. So
Right,
it's just because it's all just.
So then it wouldn't bother you as much. I
Right,
think
exactly.
Would be the
So
thing
it's
to do.
all you just assume it's amazing
Yeah,
voice
yeah, yeah,
acting. That could be really terrible. Yeah, but Final Fantasy X, I recommend it. Check it out if you have not, and if you're into role-playing games. My PS4 is a Netflix machine, so that's the next generation, next gen Netflix.
I have one more game, which I recommend, and all of you have 3DSs, so it's not a joke recommendation, but a real one. Rusty's Real Deal Baseball is possibly my favorite game of the year. What's that? What? Yeah, I haven't gotten that either. I don't know. Bad internet at PAX East could be. But it's a free game, and it's insane, and it's about a retired baseball-playing dog whose wife has left him, and he is selling you games from a company called Nintendo that are baseball games because he knows no one likes baseball anymore, and he's trying to repopularize it, and he wants to charge you $4 per game in real money, but you can negotiate with him while taking care of one of his 10 sons, who will advise you on how to steal money and trick the dad into lowering the price of these games for you. It's very good.
This is a
It's
real
essentially Rusty's Real Deal Baseball, and it's a free download, and it's sort of an unofficial WarioWare sequel, and it's insane, and it's great. So yeah, play that.
So
There's
it's a free
another
download, but it
Nintendo
costs real
3DS
money.
game we're excited about, right, Jason?
Tomodachi Life. How many of you guys have
You guys seen the trailer?
The trailer to Tomodachi Life. Oh my god.
This
you
is
guys,
my bear.
You have to watch it. It's the most ridiculous, it's the most insane thing you will ever watch. It's like Animal Crossing on acid is how I describe it.
Yeah, that's the Nintendo I like.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
wacky
when
stuff.
they're doing just the weirdest shit. Yeah, it's awesome.
I think that's why Goat Simulator is so interesting because it's just wacky and
Yeah,
silly.
yeah,
His
it's
tongue
cool.
hangs out.
Yeah, it's
That's
like everyone
so
else
sad.
is making these first-person shooters, and Nintendo's like, we're gonna do some weird shit where it feels like you're on an acid trip and you're playing this Animal Crossing-like game.
That's sort of what this year's PAX East feels like too. Is just we were just wandering around the show floor for media hour. We get like an hour to just kind of wander around, get a lay of the land, and our main attention is going to be on the Indie Mega booth, which isn't totally surprising. Last year was huge. This year there's a little bit more room to breathe, thankfully. Walking around, and it's really interesting to see how PAX has changed like that. Like there aren't a ton of bigger titles that we really feel the need to go tackle. I'm definitely going to hit up Evolve, of course. Kirk said good things about it, but most of our attention is going to the smaller part of the Indie Mega booth. Yeah.
Yeah, PAX is a really important show for these smaller guys because they get to access the audience that normally doesn't get to play the games or see the games until they're out. So this is important source of like testing and information and just enthusiasm for them.
And there's so many this year too. Evan, you were telling me about a few that you were interested in.
Yeah, one of the ones I'm really excited about is this War Mine, which
You've written about that a few times.
Yeah, it's basically a game where you don't play as a soldier. You play in a war-torn kind of fictional city or state, and you're just trying to survive as the soldiers fight around you. You're trying to scavenge for food, medical supplies, whatever, just trying to exist. And it's the kind of idea, it hits on the kind of idea that's been really interesting to me of late for video games, which is, we all know that video games deliver a power fantasy, right? You're all kind of all-powerful, or you work your way to being all-powerful and invincible. I feel like I've played like too many spins on that idea, which isn't to say I'm not ever going to do it, but it feels kind of like rote at this point. What I'm more interested in is games that essentially cast you as the side player or victim or somebody who's not the hero, who's not like, square-jawed and grim and gritty and haunted by a dark past. Like I want to play as people that feel more human. I feel like this game is gonna do that. Like I really like Papa and Yo from 2 years ago on PS3. Like it felt like a personal story that was drawn from real life and felt relatable. And the games like that and this War of Mine are kind of going down that path, and I'm really excited for that. I also love Brothers 2 last year for the same way, where like you're not all powerful. Like these two kids who are like trying to find a cure for their dad in this magic, dangerous, mythological land. Like that game, like it brought out like all kinds of emotions I was not expecting, and mostly by virtue of the fact that like I'm not worried about like min-maxing my skill tree. I'm worried about like just getting these two kids through that weird puzzle. So
yeah, they're very relatable problems, and sure there's like fantasy involved that make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe it's like a metaphorical way of viewing it, but it's connecting more is what's great about those kind of games. There was another game you were talking to me about, Lovers in Space something or other.
Oh yeah, Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time. That's an indie that I'm excited about, just because the first trailer was like a year and a half ago, maybe longer than that. But it was really funky and just interesting. It's like the idea that you've got to depend on somebody for your survival so completely. Like, okay, you man the guns, I'll like put out the fire on the lower decks. Like it's kind of like a real time, I guess, FTL with cooperative play. So I'm excited for that too. Yeah.
Any of you guys?
I think, well, if I can pause from PAX Talk for a second, can you, in the front row, show everybody your T-shirt that says Grand Theft Chocobo? That's my favorite shirt. Can you get up and show everybody? That is the best shirt I have ever seen. That is... Thank you. Thank you for wearing that. That's my PAX highlight so far. Grand Theft Chocobo. I would play that game. How many of you would play Grand Theft Chocobo? That sounds amazing.
Yeah, you just steal chocobos instead of fancy vehicles.
Rockstar, we need to tell Rockstar.
Yeah, collaboration. So you guys got any other PAX things left?
No.
We've got half an hour, so I was thinking we'd open it up.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a tangent. I don't know if we can do it here, but at some point, can we play Evolve with the four of us versus
Oh, that was my
Steven?
plan. I was going to drag you all with me.
No, but the four of us versus Steven as the monster.
Wow.
Yeah, we can take it down.
Don't we do that every day at work?
Because you're
Steven's on vacation. Steven does what Steven wants.
Well, so I have a PAX question. I was downstairs looking at a game called Muse. Something, I don't know what it was called.
This is Steven in vacation mode. He doesn't even remember the names of games.
It's this cool, it's like if you go down the main escalators, like look between the escalators, I think, something like that. It's like this music trippy, looks like you're in Fantasia, something. Anyway, it's like there's a comfy couch and there's a guy and he asks to play it and he's sitting and then there's a guy standing next to me watching and I guess the guy who's trying to play it is struggling. And he's talking to the developer, and I could have sworn the guy next to me snarks on them and says, achievement unlocked, you're an asshole. Wow. And I hope he wasn't talking to me, but I don't know.
Potentially, sorry. Hate to tell you.
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, so we've got half an hour left, so I thought we'd open up the floor to some questions if you guys want to ask us anything.
Anything at all.
Yeah,
about
like,
Kotaku,
behind the scenes kind of stuff,
like
if you want to know.
Yeah.
There's a
mic
right
over
up,
there, so why don't you guys like form a line? Anyone who wants
Go
to
for
ask
it.
questions. The more questions, the better.
Steve's
the hardest
leaving.
questions are the best ones.
We also have a GoPro camera attached there.
Steve, are you going to
so
ask a
that's gonna be
question?
fun.
Don't mind the GoPro.
Is that like a fisheye lens? Is that just going to do the...
You can just go ahead and ask your question.
Okay.
I was supposed to do this before.
All right. So,
There you go.
am I good to go?
Yeah, good.
So I'm the leader of a Street Pass group in Princeton, New Jersey.
Cool.
And I was wondering, is there anything that would you guys ever post? Like, we're doing a 3rd-year anniversary, and it's going to be like the craziest thing. We're going to have like AR cards on the cake, and we're going to have like the Triforce Quartet coming to play and such. But what would get you to like promote that in a way, or what do you look at when someone emails you, like when you want to promote something?
Well, that kind of thing sounds pretty like community-based.
Yeah.
And we love that kind of stuff. We love just hearing what gamers are getting together to do together.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, it sounds like you've got like some visuals attached to that. We love stories like that.
So if I sent you an email later today.
tips@kotaku.com. Send us everything.
Okay.
But none of us are into Street Pass.
Nice. That's a joke by the Street Pass addicted member of Kotaku editorial.
Okay, moving on. That was a classic Steven Totilo joke.
My question is, in light of the recent Oculus VR rage, do you think crowdfunding has jumped the shark? I mean, what do you think of the future of crowdfunding from here, Kickstarter and Indiegogo and whatnot?
You know, it's weird. For a while there, we were allergic to the word Kickstarter appearing in our emails. Like, you know, people feel like the fact that they're on Kickstarter is in and of itself newsworthy. It's not. Your game is newsworthy. Your game is worth attention depending on the ideas that you present in it. The level of polish or charm or ingenuity that you show in your game is what gets you on Kotaku. It's not the fact that you and 4 other people are trying to raise money for it, because guess what? Thousands of other people are doing that. As a whole, I feel like it hasn't jumped the shark. I mean, it is unfortunate, in my personal view, how the Oculus Kickstarter wound up being a civilian-funded seed round for Oculus. Like how, you know, people get to reap the benefit. The people who actually work at Oculus are now rich because the company that they got money from other poorer people got bought by richer people. So I don't like that aspect of it. But, you know, it's interesting because there's a psychological kind of component to Kickstarter and crowdfunding that is really interesting. Like, you look at something like Mighty Number 9, where it's like, okay, we're essentially paying a man who made games that we loved as a kid to do something like that again, because the company that owns the copyright is not doing it. That can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's too soon to say because that game's not out yet. But there's this kind of emotional appeal that is both a blessing and a curse to Kickstarter. Like, you talk to somebody like Tim Schafer, he's like, it's totally changed the way he runs his company. He makes games.
And his life.
And his life, you know, like, so that's a positive thing. Like, he says they have a connection to the people playing their creations that they didn't have before. So that's great. But then you have people who are like untested and unkind of, you know, they're amateurs who are basically trying to convince people to give them a shot. And there's the kind of vetting system that existed for publishing before was a good thing, because it kind of weeded out people who didn't necessarily deserve a shot. But
And now that responsibility is on anybody who's looking to invest.
right.
You have to think
You
of it
understand
less
the
of an
question.
investment as more of a donation. Like, as long as you're looking at it as like, okay, I'm giving this my money, it might happen, might not happen, then you won't ever feel like screwed over. Although I can see how people who donated to Oculus Rift might feel screwed over because they just got this pile of money and the initial investors, the initial donors, don't get any of that. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, as to your question, I don't know if it jumped the shark or if there was ever really. I mean, Kickstarter kind of jumped the shark as soon as it landed on the scene, because Kickstarter was always kind of this unreliable thing where you never really know if you're actually going to get what you expected to get.
But it had some very high-profile successes.
Right, it has a few, and it also has some high-profile failures.
Yeah.
You also had a game this week, I think, that got picked up by Atlas that had failed to get its Kickstarter. I actually think that could be more impactful even than the Oculus thing, if that type of thing happens, where if you have people asking for money on Kickstarter, failing to get funded, and then getting picked up by a publisher anyway, it feels less urgent then to have to donate to a Kickstarter, right, to give money, because, hey, they're going to be okay no matter what. I think some things like Mighty Number 9 or some of Tim Schafer stuff, it felt like if we don't give money to this Kickstarter, we won't get another adventure game from Tim Schafer. We won't get another Mega Man Mega Man under another name from Keiji Inafune. So if people don't feel the need to give, and those games still sort of happen, that could become a problem for some people asking for money.
Great, thank you.
And one more thing to that, like I've heard of a Kickstarter campaign that was already getting venture capital funding. Like they were set. They launched a Kickstarter campaign so they could get on the Kotakus of the world and on the other websites of the world. They use it as a kind of publicity machine, and that's that feels like a little bit like
Gross.
Yeah. So like there is like it's a double-edged sword. Kickstarter, I don't think crowdfunding is going away, but it's mutated in ways that are troublesome.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Cool.
I like the new comments system for
You
Kotaku.
like the new comment system?
It's actually
Did Nick Denton send you here?
No, it's not bad, but
He's
like
a
the
plant.
other layout changes, it seems like every time I come back, every 2 months, the website looks completely different, and you guys don't really know what you want to do with the layout. The content's fine, but it makes it a pain in the ass to navigate and find yourself around.
Those decisions are above all.
Way above our
us.
pay grade.
So you guys don't have any input into the...
We tell them what we like.
Yeah, we have input. So Kotaku is one of 8 websites in Gawker Media. So you also have like Deadspin, Gizmodo, and a bunch of others. And there's an overall tech development team and product team, design team, whatnot. And they create new looks for the sites in both big and small ways. Some ways you've noticed, some ways you haven't noticed. They then get rolled out. And there have been, over the half-decade that I've been at the company, there have been times when there's been almost no editorial input, and times where there's been much more involvement. And there's certainly things we're excited about, things that we're frustrated about, sort of comes and goes. And sort of the good and the bad of it is that even if you may not like aspects of Kotaku's tech right now, you can assume it's going to change, right? And if there's things you like, hopefully those won't go away. But right now the emphasis is, and I don't know if you've seen, but we have more and more sister sites, some of which are run by readers. So we have Talk Amongst Yourselves with tay.kotaku.com. We have splinter sites like cosplay.kotaku.com or screenburn.kotaku.com. What is watchlist.kotaku.com? It's his thing.
Super good.
Which is all videos. You actually should look at it. Next time you're bored at lunchtime, watchlist.kotaku.com. It's all videos, nothing to read, just watch, as it sounds like. So we work, that's the focus right now, is allowing more people to publish stuff and us to be able to sort of pull things in and have kind of a site that is a combination of a lot of
And I really like the animated GIF previews for videos, because that really saves
Cool.
worth.
We do too.
That's like 5 seconds of my life.
Chris
that,
Person
like,
right there.
Yeah,
Give Maestro.
That's good. But what really does suck is like when you load up an image and there are all these comments blasted all over it, like the little white boxes and stuff. It's just kind of...
We've gotten that iteration. I think is gone.
Yeah, that's, you won't see that anymore. That's been gone for
They
3
appear
months.
as like numbers beneath the image now.
All right.
Yeah, that's gone.
Cool.
So good. Now you can be
Thanks
happy.
a lot.
What games are you guys looking for in the future-wise, as is saying, like individually, because Evolve is on the floor as of right now, but anything that you see in the future looking for you guys individually coming
Final
up?
Fantasy 15.
Big surprise. Man, what am I looking forward to? Yeah, I am looking forward to Watch Dogs, the person who's answering my question. I'm looking forward to Watch Dogs. I really hope it is a kind of next level iteration of the open world concept. Like, one of the things they're promising with Watch Dogs is a real, a gray area kind of play experience that feels tangible. Like, this is something that Steve and I talk about, like how, like, great, more choice in games, you're good, you're bad. But real life isn't lived like that. It's lived in the in-between. So they're promising something like that. Whether they deliver is something else entirely. I'm excited for that. Man, I'm going to punt to somebody else because I've already answered it.
I've already said Evolve, but that's just so my kind of game. Like, I've been waiting for another Left 4 Dead since the other Left 4 Dead, and this sounds a lot like it, which makes a lot of sense because, it's the same team who was working on the first one. So it's like multiplayer shooter, and then there's the concept of like a monster that controls differently than a normal walking 2-legged human, which is great, I think. So that's mine, I think.
Were you asking visually, specifically, or just games in general?
Games in general, I mean, because always trying to figure out what's going on with The Last Guardian. We don't know where it's going.
We're trying to.
So are we.
Guardian anymore. We have a review document, and next to each game, there's a the date when it's coming out. Next to The Last Guardian is literally just a frowny face.
Cool. Thanks.
I have a special place in my heart for the Sega of the 90s and early 2000s. Just wanted to comments on their current funk and how they can get out of it.
Oh, man. So I went to the Sonic Boom reveal. I covered that event. And, I mean, what do you do if you're Sega, right? Like Sonic, you've got to keep on investing in Sonic because he's their cash cow, cash hedgehog. And you can't ever let too long a period of time go by without Sonic being existent in some form or fashion. But the Sonic games now are not like the Sonic games then. So and I think they've kind of painted themselves into a corner by virtue of having a series of failed experiments in Sonic's recent past, right? So I'm sure to their mind it's like, hey, every time we've tried to switch things up, it's flopped. So we basically got to deliver a very similar kind of experience. In that regard, Sonic Boom does look significantly different, and it might be fun enough or experimental enough to from a design perspective to be worth its existence. But the thing for me in Sega is that they've got all these great game ideas and properties that have been laying dormant for years now, like Streets of Rage, Space Harrier, Altered Beast, Golden Axe. I mean, I know they've kind of rebooted some of those in the past, but these are games and IPs. I hesitate to use that word, but with the right kind of angle that could find an audience, or at least be a good game that doesn't find an audience, that earns you some goodwill. But it seems like they're not doing any of that correctly. Who else on Sega? Steven?
What about Sega?
Sega's a disaster.
Yeah.
The good news, bad news for you is that almost every gaming company is struggling right now. Actually, it's so I don't just go to public events like PAX, but I'll go to, and many of us will go to a game developers conference or the DICE Summit, which is actually pretty small, just a few hundred heads of companies and studios and whatnot. That's in Las Vegas every February. And I go to that, and when you talk to people about which companies are doing well, which aren't, and these are people who are in the industry, there's almost no company that people are really feeling is kicking ass right now and is doing everything well. You hear skepticism about all of the first parties in terms of they all have struggles in various ways. Nintendo's are, I think, the most publicized, but Microsoft has certainly had a rocky road of it of late. There's weird stuff happening with their first-party studios where people keep leaving at a high level. You even look at EA. I guess Activision is relatively solid right now, but a lot of the companies are struggling. And so Sega, for better or worse, isn't alone. But it's hard to see where the strength is. And if you look out on the floor, you'll see actually, I guess, where some of the strength is. And it's in companies like Riot. So if you're not into League of Legends, you're kind of missing out on one of the more vibrant or strong parts of gaming right now. And a lot of the free-to-play stuff is sort of where it's at. And Sega's path back, just like anybody else's, possibly is in sort of pivoting and going in that direction, which then raises the question why, as Jason has tried to figure out, why something like Phantasy Star Online 2 is a game they wouldn't bring here, which you would think is something that if they sort of did it in that business model would work well, but hard to say.
I think Sega, along with Capcom and Konami and Square Enix to some extent, and Nintendo to some extent, they're all these Japanese big publishers that are stuck in this rut because, for whatever reason, they decided to make games that they thought, they were making Japanese games, and those were worldwide for a while, and then they decided, hey, we want bigger sales in the West, so they looked at the big Western games, the Call of Duties and Grand Theft Autos, and they said, we want to make games that are for Western audiences, and our Japanese games will stay for Japanese audiences. And they kind of divvied up the labor, and
Resident Evil 6.
Right, Resident Evil 6, the whole Mega Man falling apart, and that's why Mighty Number 9 exists, because Capcom didn't want to support Mega Man, and Castlevania with Konami, and kind of turning that into Lords of Shadows, which is fine, I guess, but it's not Castlevania, it's God of War.
Yeah.
So that kind of weird parochialism in Japan has hurt a lot of those companies, and hopefully they can recover from it.
And another sign that we're in this weird transitional period right now, I was talking to Chris Person before, and we were talking about Goat Simulator. And, you know, I mean, no, you can
you're
laugh.
always talking about Goat Simulator.
Which I haven't even freaking played, but, like, you can't do what we do and not be aware of the impact of that game and how it kind of came from nowhere. It's essentially broken. And yet it's like a #1 selling game on Steam. And then you look at other games that are not finished, like Rust, like DayZ, that these are games that are in alpha and blatantly say so, but yet they manage to capture the imagination of people that, in a way that these big finished, you know, mega conglomerate produced games haven't. And like, you know, Chris pretty succinctly, he's like, you can't predict what people want anymore. And that's exciting, but it's also like the worst nightmare of these bigger companies now.
The way I see it, people used to make fun of Kotaku for having a lot of typos in it. I just see us as being pioneers in putting things out there that aren't quite done yet.
Thank you.
Thanks. That was a good one.
Hello. So I love the reviews that you guys put up, and I think something that kind of makes them special is the lack of a numerical score or like a graded score, because I think a lot of the times readers get hung up. I think a lot of the times readers get hung up on the number, and that's what they scroll down to, and the verdict and everything like that, and anything below a 6 is an unplayable mess. So asking about sort of like the reasoning behind the lack of a numerical score, was that a happy accident, or was that something you all decided to do?
Well, let me start as somebody who, for the first half of his career, had to put scores on things. It sucks.
Scores are the worst.
You know, every outlet is different. Is it a 5-point scale? Is it a 10-point scale? Like, and you're torturing yourself with this kind of incrementalism. It's like, okay, you know, I gave this game a 9, and this other game that I played feels a little bit better in some areas, a little bit worse. Like, how do you quantify that? Like, you know, ultimately, the numbers are arbitrary, and the fact that we use them is an easy crutch for people who should be figuring out other ways to do their jobs.
The biggest secret in the video game industry is that review scores mean absolutely nothing. I guess it's not really a secret. But anyway, numbers are like, it's like, oh, this game feels like an 8. Oh, this game feels like a 7. I mean, like, that kind of idea that you can quantify this subjective, personal, weird, interesting, fascinating, awesome, horrible experience is like asinine, because you can't put a number on something unless you just arbitrarily say, hey, this deserves a 7, this deserves an 8. It's a silly way to write about games, and review scores, I think, are like toxic and need to go away.
I mean, yes,
entirely.
Some games are better than others.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, you can say, hey,
it's like I tell my 3-year-old daughter, use your words,
right,
and tell me why.
Right.
As much as numbers don't mean anything, or they shouldn't mean anything for you or for us, as a consumer would, but they do actually mean something for publishers, which is unfortunate because that doesn't translate very well. So it actually becomes very destructive in the end. And Jason's written about this many times on the site, and it's one of the reasons that we try not to involve ourselves in that kind of a thing.
But Stephen can speak more too, because we haven't done review scores. Has Kotaku ever done review scores?
No.
No. So this has been a site as long as Kotaku's
will be 9 years old this October, and has been doing reviews for, I can't remember if it was right before I started or right after. It may have preceded me, so it might be like 6 years or something like that. It's never had review scores. But it would be disingenuous to say that scores are useless, and that I think all of us up here probably at some point, and all of you, even if you don't like the general concept of review score, probably at some point have wondered if this movie is any good or that thing is any good, and you've gone to Metacritic or you've gone to Rotten Tomatoes and you look at a number, because it's at least a starting point to understanding the relative quality of something. I think the problem is that if that's as deep as you go and you sort of dismiss something by the number. But there was never a number. When Brian Crescente was running the site, he was adamant about not wanting to put a number on anything and to have Kotaku be different in that way than a lot of the other games media. And yet there were different systems that we used. Like there was a loved-hated system that was everything that we really loved about a game was in blue text and everything we hated was in red text. It was kind of an eyesore though, so we changed that system. And when I took over the site, I still didn't want to do a review score, but I did want people to be able to tell if they were in a rush or if perhaps they were reading Kotaku while on the toilet when they weren't playing a game. that they would be able to very quickly see. I guess if you're on the toilet, though, you might have more time to read, so this is not the right way of thinking about it.
Depends what's going on.
Yeah, it depends. Is it number one or number two? So we wanted to have, we have like a little box in the review, and it has the should you play this game, yes, no, or not yet. And we wanted to give people some sort of snapshot, some bullet points of what we liked, but we haven't been required to put a number on anything. We don't really, that's not really the way our company, Gawker Media, works. And I think it served us well in terms of expressing what we think is good about the game while still giving people something if they're in a rush. What was also important to me, though, was that we had malleability to our reviews. No game is the same after it launches anymore. It's always being patched or updated in some way. And it made sense to me that our reviews could change as well, so we do a lot of updates on the reviews when we can. We don't write about online multiplayer usually the day a game comes out because we don't think it really represents anything real at all in terms of how good it is. And the not yet that we put on some game reviews is a sign that we plan to eventually update that review in some way so we can say yes, it's worth playing or no.
All right,
Cool.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, so I've been a long-time reader of Kotaku, so is my friend Pete. And one thing that we've noticed is that we might not play games every day, but we'll read Kotaku. And one thing that Kotaku does really well is it quantifies the idea of gaming culture. And I'm just curious, that's something that was a conscious choice to sort of sue out not just covering video games, but what the elements that we define ourselves as gamer are?
Well, thank you for keeping up with the site, and to your friend as well. That wasn't the snark. That was serious. It was genuine. It was genuine. Thank you. Yeah, we're not a product-oriented site. We're not a site just here to tell you whether to buy this thing or not buy that thing. We felt, and this precedes, again, my time at Kotaku, but it was always important for Kotaku to be about the culture of gaming and about gamers. And sometimes people get angry if they're still looking for Kotaku to even be a gaming-only site. And we still assume that our readers are people who love video games first and foremost. But we'll also talk about movies or comics. We'll also talk about gamers' lives. And that moved us, I think, more into the world of, for lack of a better way of putting it, social causes or progressive issues that most other main gaming sites, I don't think any, were covering when we started doing that in 2011 and 2012. Gender issues, sexuality, even more subtle issues about class and race are things that didn't really fit into the mandate of what a lot of the other gaming sites were doing. But it's important to us because we think that the most interesting stories are about people and that gamers are people who are worth talking about and appealing to in more ways than just saying, buy this, don't buy that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, it's Ned.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, Ned.
Oh, I'm a little bit too close. Okay, my question was, I'm a video game collector, and I have about 30 home consoles at home, and even today I could walk downstairs to the expo hall and find somebody selling an NES title from 1987, and I could pick up Blades of Steel and go home and play it the same way I did when I was a kid. And I guess with the sort of Microsoft backed off of it, but their push initially on used game checks sort of concerned me because it made me think, well, when the servers power down in 2022 or whatever, does that mean I can never buy a used game again? As a collector, that seemed really threatening, and I know that that was considered maybe too ahead of its time and they backed away. But it seems to be like the general understanding that next generation after this probably will be diskless, and I'm wondering, where does that leave a collector like myself?
You know, it's interesting that you mention that because it speaks to a certain kind of short-sightedness with regard to the way the companies that develop and publish these games, like it's a product that needs to fight for shelf space or fight for hard drive space in competition with other products. But what you're essentially talking about is preservation, and that's a huge issue. Like, experiences, even if they manage to survive in some form or fashion 10, 15 years down the line, they're not going to be able to be played the way they were meant to be, they were designed to be played. And that's, to talk about a bigger cultural framing, how do you talk about that as a piece of art, right? Like, oh, wait, I can't play, I mean, even a game as great as Journey is gonna die someday, right? Yeah. Like, you're not gonna be able to have the connected experience, the kind of emergent randomness of it, because some point or another, like, those servers are gonna get shut down, or they're gonna get repurposed for something else.
To give you a pressing example, by the way, unless you found, because Jason, you were looking into this, but you guys remember Mass Effect 3, they changed the ending, and it was a free download? Well, in the fine print, they said that offer was only good it was 2 years ago till tomorrow.
Steven,
So-
breaking news.
So I don't know what happened. So, but
BioWare
Jason,
got back to me last
oh,
night.
Oh,
and they
good.
said
Okay.
that they plan on leaving it up as long as they can.
Oh, excellent. All right.
But who knows how much longer that'll be? Who knows how many years
Okay,
in the future?
that's excellent.
No,
But that's an example. They initially planned to stop it.
Yeah,
5 minutes to go. Lightning round now, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
It's a quick question, so I guess in 5 minutes it'll work out. This is more geared towards Jason, but I guess if anyone wants to chime in, then you guys can. Jason, what's your favorite JRPG that probably no one's ever heard of?
I mean, my
not
favorite
a lot of people haven't heard of.
My favorite JRPG is Suikoden 2, which a lot of people have heard of because I tell everybody about them as much as possible. But so I mean, I guess that's my answer because it's not like the Final Fantasies of the world or it's something. How many people here have heard of Suikoden 2? Yeah, not everybody. Okay, like half the room ish. So it's spelled Suikoden 2. And unfortunately, there's no way to legally get it unless you go and buy it on eBay or something like that. But it's amazing. It's an amazing experience.
Have you ever heard or played a Guardians Crusade for PlayStation 1?
Of what game?
Guardians Crusade.
Guardians Crusade?
The PlayStation 1.
I have not.
Little tip, if you ever want to check it out, it had no random battles. It did away with random battles before. That was cool to get rid of them. And it's kind of ahead of its time. You want to check it out.
Cool. Yeah, that's a game to add to the list. Cool, thank you.
Hey, I was wondering where you guys thought game criticism should go in the future. Like, there's a lot of games like DayZ doesn't make a lot of sense to review right now. A lot of sites withheld Titanfall reviews when that initially came out, or at least scores. You got people talking about games on YouTube. You got outlets like Giant Bomb that does quick, like, long videos of games and live shows. And then also places like IGN that just writes like long traditional reviews. Where do you think game criticism should be in the future and how it should evolve?
If we're talking just format, I think everything. Like we've been recently upscaling on our video content because we just want to have as many forms of speaking to people as possible. So some of it might be short form, some of it might be essays. We've had like styles where we're talking to one another in a post, just written out. Any kind of version that speaks to us that hopefully will speak to you guys too.
The more the better, yeah. The more sources you can get, as much information and interesting reading about a game.
I mean, we turn to Let's Plays like to fill gaps of stuff we don't have the time or resources to cover. Like,
Let's Plays are great.
There needs to be more coverage of games after they come out rather than before. It's not real most of the time, what you see that's written about before a game's released. Too much of that is controlled by public relations and really gets published only because people were paid to remind you to write about it. So it's not real sort of genuine, interesting stuff. So I think the more people have the courage to write about things after they come out and assume that there's still a readership for that, the better that will be, and that's where it should go.
Do you think that might be more resource intensive for you guys? Like, because you have a staff that's limited, and they need to write about like current things, but then you also need to be paid attention to stuff that happened.
I think we can do it. Let's just sort of cycle through people, though. Sorry.
Thank you.
A little bit of follow-up question. I'm curious. Gaming press is kind of seen as enthusiast press. I'm curious how you guys feel about your place within the journalism community at large.
We're journalists.
Yeah, I mean, I went to journalism school. I wrote for big deal journalistic outlets.
Like Kotaku.
Yes, the biggest of them all. And that's actually not a lie. I ask people questions, sometimes uncomfortable ones. Like I investigate sources, like Jason does, Tina does, Steven does. We all, I feel like our focus is on telling the truth about the stuff we cover to our readers. And
even if that makes some people unhappy.
Yeah.
It's important for us. I think Kotaku does a lot of stuff that other gaming sites wouldn't do, and we also avoid a lot of the kind of PR-driven, like, hey, a press release landed in my inbox, got to put it up on the site. We kind of do our own thing, and we've been evolving a lot over the past couple of years, and we kind of talk about your question all the time internally, and like debate and discuss and try to decide how to make Kotaku the best gaming site, serving you guys, serving all of our readers the best way possible.
All right, we'll give one-line answers to the rest of the people. Go through.
Lightning round.
To piggyback on his question.
That's a piggyback of a piggyback, but go ahead.
How does one become a contributor or freelancer to Kotaku?
Email tips@kotaku.com or email me or Tina directly. Show us clips of things that we couldn't get from the people that we pay to write for us. If you have stuff that is that good, then you've got a shot.
Cool.
It's a good thing mine is a real quick lightning question.
Do it.
To each of you, if you could put one character, it could be Nintendo, could be video games, could be anything, In Super Smash Bros., who would you want to see?
Darth Vader. Next question.
Professor Layton.
Never heard my. Sorry. Anyway, I'm a huge JRPG fan. I probably rival Jason, to be honest. But what's your view on the JRPG market? Is it stagnant? Is it gonna just collapse at this rate?
No.
You think it's gonna keep going?
I think that the publishers making them might collapse because they're making stupid decisions, but the market itself is growing every day. Bravely Default proved that, I think that sold 200,000 copies in 3 weeks, which is like a 3DS JRPG with a weird name that's like a new original IP. That's fuck yeah, that's amazing. That's proving that the market is there and people are way into JRPGs.
So you think the genre is going to stay? It's not going anywhere?
Oh yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
Okay, good.
I think we will see. I mean, I think the bigger ones might live or die based on Final Fantasy 15 could be kind of a big indicator of how the market is in Japan and how the big guys are doing. But yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere, even if they're all indies.
I had more, but they got to go.
Yeah, let's clear this line. I want to clear the line.
Yeah, we got to get everyone.
So you guys cover a lot of games and play a lot of games for work, but have you ever had just times where you're like, screw it, I don't want to play a game for fun anymore, I'll just do what has to work, and what have you done instead for the free time?
Somebody who doesn't have a kid answer.
Your question is whether we play games just for fun?
No, it's like have you ever been on a binge, just okay, I just can't handle playing video games anymore for the rest of the week,
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
I read a lot for fun.
No, I love playing games. I never get tired of it.
Never burned out?
That's why he's in charge.
Next person.
I'll get burnt out after a weekend, especially game to game. I'll get burnt out if I'm reviewing a game and it's always a really quick turnaround. So I'm binging through an entire weekend, and sometimes I just want to sit and read a comic and catch up on that. So you got to kind of diversify your time.
Cool. Okay. All right, last question.
Since we started with things you're proud of, you have anything you kind of regret?
Oh.
Finally, a tough question. And we're out of time.
I know exactly mine. And Steven, you're going to find this funny. So, sometimes we experiment. Sometimes we think things are funny and they're kind of a flop. It happens. We're all humans, right? So early on in my career at Kotaku, there was, we used to do Watch This, Play This, which is now, I guess, watchlist.kotaku.com. And there was, Steve, I told you this, right? There was somebody put up a video in Skyrim and they were like, oh, really cool Pac-Man Easter egg. Steven, you remember this? And it's just a guy with a video of a wheel of cheese. It's a yellow wheel of cheese with a cutout. And so it was kind of just a sarcastic post. And we usually posted 3 videos for that segment. And we needed a third, and I couldn't find a third. And Steven was like, oh, well, somebody sent this to me, and it's kind of funny. And I was like, okay, I'll see. And everybody was like, what the shit is this? This is terrible. This is on Kotaku. I was like, oh, God, I'm hiding from this forever. So that's mine.
Man, all right. There was an article that we ran about Assassin's Creed Liberation. I wrote it, and basically the crux of the matter was that the voice actress who was voicing Aveline, the character in the game, who's biracial, the voice actress was white. And that mattered to me because they went through they made the effort to get a Native American voice actor for Connor, and that felt like, hey, this aligns with what you're trying to do in the game. You're trying to diversify the people that are in your game, both on screen and behind the scenes. So I was really disappointed that they weren't doing that with Assassin's Creed Liberation. The reason I regret that story is because I had bad sourcing on it, and I got told the actress was one person, and when it really was another. I don't regret running the story, and I still stand by my general thesis behind it. But I was disappointed that the facts didn't pan out in terms of who the actual talent was.
So last year, it was the end of the day, and I was looking for one more thing to write before I left, and I found this trailer for a video game called Dragon's Crown, and it was this trailer of the sorceress in Dragon's Crown. It was this kind of voluptuous, like she has gigantic breasts, and so I thinking in a snarky way, I wrote up this post in 5 minutes saying game designers should really stop letting teenagers design their characters because it looked like a teenage boy's fantasy. And that turned into a thing when the game designer in Japan, George Kamitani, wrote a post saying, I believe Jason Schreier didn't like my Dragon's Crown thing, so here is an image that's more up his alley. And it was 3 burly men on top of one another. So first of all, Not the classiest thing in the movie, but anyway, he and I hashed it out and kind of did our thing. But since then, and I mean, I regret I was kind of a dick calling him a teenager, and I should totally not have done that. And he and I kind of worked it out. But people still to this day bring that up to me and send me nasty emails about Dragon's Crown, and it's become a big stigma.
I haven't been working long enough to have a big thing like that, but my most recent one was I was doing a video of this guy made a map of The Shining in Unity, so you could run around in it, and we did this post. So if you search Kotaku for "All Work and No Play Makes Jack a Dull Boy," I did a little video of it, and I didn't double check the video, and for some weird reason, instead of saying James Houston, I said James Hudson, and then later I saw the guy talking, oh, I got a post on Kotaku, but they said the wrong name, and then he started calling me names. And I was like, I'm sorry. And he was like, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. And then it was very nice, and we talked to each other on Twitter.
Great. Thank you guys for coming out.
Enjoy the rest of your PAX.
Ether 1 is a adventure game about dementia. Now, if you've never had a friend or family member struggle with dementia, it's really horrifying. They lose their own sense of self, they lose their memory, they deteriorate. It's very, very, very harsh and very emotionally draining.